What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench. Today we are starting a brand new season of Ben Builds with Joe. This is season number 5. Now I know we just came off of our previous build on the P-40B Warhawk, but I gotta tell you, we had so much fun building that Airfix kit. We've decided to go right into another one. This time though, we're going to build something British. Now you saw from the thumbnail, and I'm sure you've seen from the title, we are going to be working on this. This is a 1/48 scale Supermarine Spitfire FR Mk.XIV. Now this is actually a pretty new kit. I've seen a lot of YouTubers out there that have done builds of this. I guess they were given kind of review copies by Airfix. So hey Airfix, if you're listening, you guys want me to take a look at some of your aircraft? By all means, let me know. Call me. Now, not only is this going to be an interesting build because neither of us have built the Mk.XIV, but also I've got a little bit of a change I want to make to this kit. So let's go ahead and take a little look inside and see what we have in store for us. Now, we have seen this kit unboxed many times, but we're just going to give you a real quick look at what we have inside just in case you haven't seen those other videos. Again, we have one poly bag with all of our sprues, one set of decals, and one set of instructions. So pretty standard in terms of what you get in any model kit. Let's go ahead and open up the poly bag and we'll check out inside. Usually Airfix parts are pretty decent, at least the newer releases have been pretty spot on. So let's give these a look. Starting out, let's check out the clear parts. Now I'm not going to take those out of the bag because I don't want to scratch them or scuff them, so I'll leave them in the bag, but we can already see they look pretty clean, pretty clear. We're actually given 2 of the sliding bubble parts of the canopies, probably one for open, one for closed, but I'm not really sure. We also have our windscreen as well as some of the inserts for the photo reconnaissance windows and wing tips and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive on into plastic parts though, see how these stack up. So moving on here, let's take a look at the fuselage. As you can see, the plastic is nice and smooth. We have panel lines that are nicely crisply scribed. You can see right here, we have a couple of parts we can remove, like this door, for example. We can actually open that to get a better look at the cockpit. We might do that. But on the other side, if you notice, we actually don't have any panel lines scribed into here. So I don't know if that's normal. I'd have to check my references, but if not, we can go ahead and add that in, no problem. Should be a pretty easy fix if that is the case. Now I have heard that there is one particular area that is a little bit troublesome, and that is the front fuel tank cover. This right here fits right up into the front of the nose here, and apparently this one is a little bit too wide for the narrowness of the fuselage. I don't really know for sure, but that's just what I've heard. Also, we have this really awesome looking 5-bladed propeller. This is kind of what drew me to build the Mk.XIVs because this is a pretty ominous and impressive looking propeller system, I gotta tell you. So this should be a lot of fun. Moving on here for the wing, as you can see, we've got some nice panel lines engraved here into the aircraft. We do have the openings for the 50 cal and also for the 20mm cannon. I'm pretty sure that would make this an E-type wing, but again, I'm not 100% certain. I don't have a lot of references yet for the Spitfire, but from what I do understand is that the E-type wings lack the machine guns on the outer part of the wings and just had the 50 cal and the 20mm. So we can see that here. But I've also read that the access panels are actually still present for the outer wing guns. Those I guess were not removed, so we should leave those in place. But again, I have to go ahead and get some research and references so I can read a little bit more about this aircraft, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's move on. So one of the nice things about Airfix is they typically give you a lot of alternate parts that you can use for other purposes. Here we have a large assortment of wheels. We have checkered diamond tread, we have square tread, we have relatively smooth tread. We have wheels to go ahead and be folded up inside for an in-flight model, though we need to go ahead and figure out which one is going to be correct for our version. We can also see that we are given different center hubs as well. Now the Spitfire Mk.XIV, I believe, had the 4-spoke center hubs. I think those came standard, but we also are given the 3-spoke as well. Not sure if we can even use those in this particular build, but it's nice to know that we have those just in case my references show something different. Also up here with the front exhaust, we have 2 different types. We have more of a circular exhaust, and we also have a flare tipped exhaust. I'm not sure which one is actually good for our particular Spitfire, but it's nice to know we have options. Though to be honest, the rounded one would be a bit easier to drill out. On the top part of the wing, we can see the exact same idea here. We have some nice gun bulges there for that 20mm. We have nicely recessed panel lines. A little bit of riveting detail here and there, holes there for the 50 cal machine gun and for the 20mm cannon. As we move on farther down the wing, we can actually see that we do have the access panels for the other deleted machine guns. So those, I'm pretty sure, have to stay. We will have to go ahead and cut off the wing tips to go ahead and build the Mk.XIV, and we are given inserts right here that would just be glued in there to make those wings look finished. We do have a little bit of detail here in the wheel wells, so that's nice to see, but I don't know if I need to add any extra wires or whatnot. We'll have to go ahead and again check our references. So moving on over to the decals, let's take a look at what we have here. Now, Airfix gives you two different options for markings. We have a set of markings for late war, 1945, and we have a set of markings for post-war. I gotta tell you, both of them look pretty decent. Decals are nicely glossy, very well printed. I don't see anything kind of out of register. Everything looks beautiful. Plus, they give you a little bit of stencils, which is nice. But here's the thing, guys. I really don't want to go ahead and just build this right out of the box. I know Joe's going to go ahead and probably do a camo version, which would be awesome to watch, but I want to try to go ahead and do a camo version as well. But I want to differentiate it between his. So instead, I've decided to go ahead and go with this. Now, this is a decal set that I picked up by Iliad, and it's Spitfires over India. Comes with a lot of very interesting markings, covers Mark 7s as well as Mark 14s, and I believe a Mark 17 as well. Now, this is something that I don't really know much about, but I'm really excited to go ahead and build something in that Southeast Asia camo, so that should be a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing for decals. Now, moving right along, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions. Now, if you've seen any of the modern Airfix kits, you know that, well, you're going to get a lot of good information here. They're pretty standard instructions for most of the Airfix kits that I've seen. But overall construction looks pretty simple. One interesting thing, though, I noticed here is that the landing gear installation actually attaches to the fuselage and not to the underside of the wing. That's interesting. I've never had anything quite like that before. Everything looks pretty simple. I don't see anything too crazy. We will have to go ahead and chop those wing tips off. We've got slipper tanks if we want to go ahead and do that. We also have all of our different parts and pieces like the optional wheels with the optional hubs, and we can mix and match. So we got to do some reference research on that, as well as, of course, the exhausts. We have different versions of that. And again, we're going to have to figure out what we need on our references. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the markings. Now we have two different versions we can go ahead and build. So our first option here is actually late war. I believe it's May or June 1945. We are looking at that very typical late war RAF camo of that kind of ocean gray with that dark olive green. So really nice looking camo pattern. This would be a great version to build if I was going to go ahead and just build right out of the box. We are also given an interesting scheme though. This was a definite second place runner for me if I were to choose which version to build. This is an all-silver Spitfire Mk.XIV, and the markings are super cool looking. If you look at that, they're very stark with that blue-red rondel right on that silver. That looks really cool. I like that look. Even with the tail flashes, it really stands out. It looks awesome. But like I said, I want to go ahead and do something a little bit different, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the kit decals alone and go with my aftermarket set. But the decals weren't the only aftermarket parts I went ahead and picked up for this kit. I actually went out and I bought the Edward photo-etched seatbelts for the Mk.XIV for the Airfix kit. And these are always super fun to go ahead and use. Not only are they better detailed than what I could make by hand, they're also pretty cheap. I think this was like $3 or $4 US here. I mean, it's not bad at all. For paint, since we are going to hopefully be doing a Southeast Asia camo version of the Spitfire Mk.XIV, I've got my dark green, I've got my dark gray, and I also have my earthen brown. So this should be a pretty decent camo. Now lastly, let's talk a little bit about references. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I love my references, but I don't have anything on the Mk.XIV or any of the Griffin-powered Spitfires. So what I did is I went out and I picked up this. Now this is a book that actually comes very highly recommended from a lot of online sources and different forums and whatnot. It's supposed to cover in depth all of the Griffin-powered Spitfires. I think I paid about $25 for that. Not the cheapest book out there, so I'm going to have to go ahead and just build more Spitfires. Of course, it's not here yet. It's actually going to take a couple of weeks, but when I get it in, I'll give you guys a bit more in-depth look into the book itself. But that's going to go ahead and do it for us today, guys. I wanted to give you a look at the next kit that Joe and I are going to be building. Like I said, I'm still waiting on my book, and I'm also still waiting on my decals. They were supposed to come in today. They have not. So when I get those in along with the book, I'll give you guys a little look into those. Honestly, though, I am really excited to go ahead and dive in on the Spitfire. I think next episode, we're going to start on the cockpit, maybe try to get some paint set up and just see how the parts are going to be fitting together. This is going to be one of those aircraft that I don't know much about, so I can't wait to get that reference book so I can read more. Like I said, I've seen a lot of the more experienced modeling YouTubers go ahead and build pre-production versions of these kits, and they seem to go together very well. A couple of issues here and there with a little bit of part fit, but we'll just take those as they come. So until our next episode, everybody, thank you so much for watching. You know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on episode number 2 for Ben Builds with Joe. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.